Yo, what is going on, everyone in the crypto space? So today's going to be a different kind of video, not going to need my screen at all, because I just wanted to talk about the subject of why is the price of XRP still down, not moving, etc. I know in a lot of YouTube comments, it's very prevalent on Twitter, people very disappointed that the price isn't moving despite a lot of partnerships and great progress within the company. So today I want to talk about reasons why it's actually staying down so you can get a better perspective on why, despite great partnerships with multi-billion-dollar companies, that the price is still staying down. I think the number one thing in my opinion is FUD, also known as fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And the main FUD over XRP is really XRP not being used, because all these partnerships are all X current based and not based off of X rapid. So people assume that just because they're not going to use XRP right away, that they will never use it sometime in the future. But I wanted to let you guys know that financial institutions, especially like banks, they're very skeptical over cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. One, because it's a threat to their business model, and a lot of significant people in the financial community, such as stocks and foreign exchange, they tend to talk down upon it. Because it goes away from the traditional form of investing in stocks, bonds, ETFs, futures, things like that. So it takes away from that market. And banks, just in general, are very skeptical of using a cryptocurrency within their back-end infrastructure, because there's a lot of illegal things that go on with cryptocurrency. It just has like scams, Silk Road. It really just gives cryptocurrency in general a bad name. So for a bank to come on and use a cryptocurrency instantly is highly unlikely, even though there is, which will happen in the future. So what's going to happen is that they're hopping on X current, but then later in the process, they use X current, they save the 30%, it's working better than before, and Ripple comes along and says, hey, you know, if you want to save another 30% and eliminate your Nostro account so you can have more revenue to do many great things like pay investor dividends, raise wages, or cut your competitors' costs, they get rid of those Nostro accounts and save an additional 30% by throwing XRP in the mix. So by using X current, that's kind of the gateway into using XRP. The second thing, very similar to FUD, is the fake news. So it's a lot of people spreading misinformation. Actually, big mainstream media will spread false information about cryptocurrency. The one that really pissed me off was CNBC. Literally the headline saying, South Korea banning cryptocurrency. And that is one of the largest markets for cryptocurrency is actually South Korea. So we lose a ton of volume, which put the market in a panic and dropped it about 30–40%. But an actual South Korean regulator came out and said, no, we're not banning cryptocurrencies. We're cracking down on fraudulent exchanges that aren't complying with government regulations. So that's what that is. So the fake news and the FUD kind of ties into one. And the third thing is that pretty much every single cryptocurrency besides a pump and dump that's ranked like 900 is tethered to Bitcoin. Wherever Bitcoin moves, the market follows, because it's kind of like the first mover. It's the big dog of the market, if you will. If Bitcoin drops, everything drops. If Bitcoin rises, everything else rises with it. Because for most cryptocurrencies, you have to go through Bitcoin in order to get your cryptocurrency. So if the market's booming, people are going to want to buy Bitcoin to buy their currency. And if the market's dropping, they're going to sell Bitcoin into their currency, then sell that currency to get out. So it just creates the whole market going down. So being tethered to Bitcoin is definitely another reason why XRP is not moving in value and is actually just moving downwards. So to elaborate more on that, the way we would be untethered from Bitcoin is if we got a lot of fiat liquidity from banks and from exchanges. I know that the Circle company that's backed by Morgan Stanley ended up buying Poloniex, and they said they were looking to expand the exchange, so they would expand the exchange by adding more fiat pairs. So the key here is a lot of exchanges have to add more fiat pairs for XRP. Again, why Coinbase? We don't need Coinbase, but it would help to have that extra fiat liquidity. So once we get fiat liquidity from exchanges and actual banks utilizing the XRapid network, that's when we would become untethered to Bitcoin, and which is why we are seeing the current prices that we are now, because it is tethered to Bitcoin and treated as a regular cryptocurrency rather than a revolutionary payment technology being adopted by corporations. So for the last reasons, the whole anarchist mindset in cryptocurrency, and that they're against banks and won't invest in Ripple because just the fact they work with banks and they don't like banks. This is a very common ideology within cryptocurrency. Basically, that was the whole foundation of it, was eliminating that middleman and just going through a decentralized network and avoiding a bank. But the thing, I understand that whole ideology, the whole foundation of Bitcoin, the whole idea behind it, the whole purpose, I think is fantastic. But the technology is kind of limiting it a bit. But we can talk about that in another video. But it's mainly that people don't want to invest in a currency that is working with banks, because the whole idea of cryptocurrencies is to get away from banks. Now, the cryptocurrency anarchists, that's what I nickname them, I guess. They, you know, it's like they really think that Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency is going to replace a bank one day, just replace banks in general. But I highly doubt that will happen. I mean, if even in the future or anytime soon, because here's the thing. Yeah, although banks, a run can happen, so many bad things can happen where banks can disappear, but there's always going to be a demand for a bank, because it's such a social and economic norm that it really, I don't think the banking system would ever leave, because people are always going to want CDs, IRAs, bonds, savings accounts, mortgages, car loans. People are going to need those kind of things. So although maybe banks will be less relevant for payments in the future, even though I really don't believe that, there's still always going to be the demand for a bank, because they provide a multiplicity of services. But I mean, the crypto anarchists, I totally understand their view. I think it's great, but in reality, what they're expecting is, I don't think okay, I don't know why I did that, but what they're expecting is not very realistic. I think it's more realistic for cryptocurrency to come in to the banking infrastructure and help it improve, rather than completely replacing it, because so many people use banks that it's going to be very hard to remove that and go to a simple cryptocurrency. So in the Ripple investor mindset, we see it as more of a reality to change the banking infrastructure through cryptocurrency, and we're already seeing that take place today. So that is why, the 4 reasons why it's really staying down in value. So thank you guys for watching this video. You can follow my Twitter at TeenageBuffett, or pick up a legendary Nano S in the description to keep your cryptocurrency safe from hackers. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.